Today we're going to talk about some math and some algorithms related to the puzzle game Wordle, and specifically related to coming up with good opening words or good starting words for starting your puzzle, for making your first guess. And so if you play Wordle, you know that every time you make a guess, we get back a clue or a hint in the form of these colored tiles. So in this example, I've guessed the word slate, and my answer word that I don't know, but the answer word for this example is the word month. So if I guess slate and the answer word is month, then this is the clue I'm going to get back, the hint I'm going to get back from Wordle. And what this tells me is my answer word does not contain any of the letters S, L, A, or E. It also tells me that my answer word does contain the letter T. And not only does it have a T, but T is the fourth letter. So the green indicator tells me that the letter is in the word and it's in the right place. So with this information, I can eliminate words that can't be my answer word now. I can eliminate every word that has the letter S, any word that has the letter S, any word that has the letter L, any word that has the letter A, and any word that has the letter E. And if you think about our guess word, our answer word of month, M-O-N-T-H, those letters are not in our answer word. So by eliminating every word that has an S, an L, an A, or an E, we get rid of a lot of words from our initial vocabulary. Also, that eliminates a lot of words just by getting rid of words that don't have or that do have these letters, because we know our answer word does not have those letters. And the other thing we know from this clue is this T. So we can also eliminate any word that does not have a T as the fourth letter. So between those two things, we've eliminated a large number of words. Now in this specific example, if I guess slate and our answer word is month, I'm going to get this clue. And based on this clue, I'm going to eliminate words that can't be the answer. And in this case, we're left with 37 words. I don't know what the word is after guessing slate, but I know it has to be one of these 37 words. So that's the result when we guess slate against one answer word month. So then in this brute force analysis to come up with a metric to apply to all the guess words, I take the guess word, in this case slate, and I run it against every Wordle puzzle word, all 2,000 some odd words. And so for slate, I do that, and for just like for this clue, for each Wordle word, we would get back a hint from Wordle that would eliminate some words and leave us with a number of words remaining that could be our answer word. So if we do that for every single Wordle puzzle word, we're going to get a number, 2,300 and something numbers. So then I take the average of all those and I assign that average to my guess word, slate. So in this case, with slate, when I do that and I get for every answer word, I get back a clue, do this elimination, get a number, and I average those. Average all 2,000 some odd of those. The average for slate in this case is 74 words remaining after that first guess. So now that gives me one number for that clue, and I'll assign that number for Slate. Now I do that same thing for my entire vocabulary list. I do it for every guess word. So for every guess word, I look at what clue I would get back for every possible Wordle puzzle after my first guess. That gives me a number. And then I average all those and assign one number at the end to each of my guess words. So that's 2,000 and something times 2,000 and something calculations or approaches, and that gives me one number for all of my possible guess words. And now I rank those based on the smallest number of words left. And that was my first set of top ranked starting words or opening words to play Wordle. And when ranked by that metric, so the average number of possible words left after the first guess for all Wordle puzzles, the top ranked word is raise, with 62 possible words remaining after that first guess. And here's the full top 25 words for all of the guesses after ranking them by the average possible remaining words. And so I'll read those off. We've got raise, arise, irate, arose, saner, alter, later, stare, snare, slate, laser, alert, crate, trace, stale, aisle, learn, alone. And this is a British spelling of the word lint. And so that is in the Wordle word list, and so that's why it shows up here, L-E-A-N-T, lint. And then least, atone, crane, trail, react, and trade. And that was my initial top 25, ranking simply by the number of possible remaining words after the first guess. What was the average, having looked at the first clue for every Wordle puzzle word for every one of these potential starting words. And that's the first list. So then I took that list of starting words and I ran simulations where I actually had the software play Wordle, play all 2,000 and something Wordle puzzles with the top words. I think I did the top 100 words from this list. From this list, where we just took the average for all words. So then I took that top 25. It would take too long to run the Wordle puzzle for all the possible words, so that's why I only did it for the top 100 words. And when we do that, so now we take that top 100 words and we play the Wordle game, play Wordle for every single Wordle game. For each of those words, we get back an average number of turns to win. And sorting the list by that metric, the number of turns to win, the top word becomes least, L-E-A-S-T, and with 3.23 turns to win. And it failed one time playing hard mode out of the 2,000 and some odd Wordle games it played. So this was the starting word list I used for a while. And we can see that after this adjustment, from not just ordering by the number of words left after the first guess, but now ordering by the number of turns to win, we see a rearrangement of some words, and our word raise that was previously in number 1 moves down to number 10. Still a good word, but it actually moves from 1 to 10. So this was the top 25 that I used for quite a while. And the words are slate, least, trace, react, crate, stale, stare. There's that British word again, lent, Leant. Trail, raise, that was our previous top word. Alter, later, saner, crane, irate. Arose, snare, learn, alert, arise. Trade, alone, laser, aisle, and atone. So having that set of words and all those calculations to arrive at this top 25, I noticed experimentally that some words that were not in this top 25 proved to be better after the second guess than these words. So they had fewer possible words remaining after their second guess. And that got me thinking, how far can we take this? So this analysis is after the first guess, and then also playing the game, playing Wordle for all these words, and then ordering by turns to win. So it's quite a few simulations, quite a bit of math, something like 5.8 million times another set to do all the simulations. But so then I saw, as I said, experimentally, that sometimes other words after the second guess appear to do better than that initial top 25. So I began looking at what can we do to look at first plus second guess. Now, to do all that brute force simulations for first and second guess, for all the words and all the puzzles, would take something like 168 million runs. And I estimated, with the compute hardware that I have, that was going to take about 18 months of processing time. So that wasn't really viable. So what I did instead is I took the top 100 words and did this first plus second word analysis. And the first round is I ranked those by the number of remaining words after the second guess. And in that analysis, the word trail actually comes out on top with the lowest number of remaining words after the second guess. So you start with trail, you use the algorithm to then make the second guess, and the average, playing all the Wordle games for that word, the average was 2.5 remaining words after the second guess. And our word least, we note that was our top word back here. In the previous analysis and data, least was our number one word. Well, now after doing this and ordering by the average remaining words after the second guess, least moves into number 2. So it's still a very highly ranked word, but it actually moved into 2. Now, I won't read all these because this is sort of an interim result. It was interesting to see how the words ranked. looking simply at this metric of how many words remain after the second guess, but I knew that wasn't really where I was going to stop. So then, but that did give me new words to look at. So some words, as I had noticed experimentally, some new words now appear in this list that weren't there before. We have dealt, for example, and I think alien as well. And those words weren't in our prior list, so those words came out of none of the earlier methods. Those words didn't come out until I did this first plus second analysis. And so what that gave me is a new set of basically top 100 words or top 50 words. And so for those new words that weren't in previously, I ran that same turns to win simulation. So in other words, I had the computer play Wordle for all 2,300 and some odd Wordle games for these new words in addition to the ones I had already done in the previous analysis. So after that, we were actually left with least still being on top. And with 3.323 turns to win, and as same as before, one failure. So one time it lost Wordle from all the 2,300 some odd Wordle games. But we do have some new words in here, and you see after sorting instead of by average remaining words after the second guess, where trail, the word trail was on top. After taking those words and sorting by the number of turns to win, trail remains in the list, but now it moves to 9. But after doing this analysis, we see that some of those new words that weren't there in any of the prior analyses still remain in this top 25, even when sorted by the number of turns to win. So that's interesting. So this is now my current recommended starting word for Wordle. Least I'm ranking as the top word, but here's the whole top 25, and I'll read those off. We've got slate, least, trace, react, crate, stale, stare, lent, again, that's that British word, L-E-A-N-T, trail, again, that was our prior top word, and we just sorted by average possibilities after the second guess. We've got trial, raise, which was the top word from our very first analysis, where it was only based on the number of words remaining after the first guess. So that remains in our top 25. Raise, alter, later, saner, crane, roast, which I think is also a new word that came in from this first plus second analysis, train, irate, arose, dealt, snare, learn, alert, scale, and closing out the top 25 is the word close or close. So that's the top 25 and the top word. And least is my recommended word when playing hard mode. And to review the words that came in after we did that first plus second analysis, we brought in these 6 new words into the top 25. Close, dealt, roast, scale, train, and trial. And those words kicked out these words, these 6 words, from the top 25. Aisle, alone, arise, atone, laser, and trade. Now, one thing I note about some of these words that got kicked out from the top 25, and they're still perfectly good words to use. They're still probably going to get you a good result. But they got kicked out at the top, and my guess is the fact that they all begin, or several of them begin with A, probably suggests those words with A at the beginning didn't work out as good as these words. Now, there still are a few words in this list that begin with A. We've still got alter, we've still got a rose, we've still got alert. But I noticed that these other words did drop out of the top 25, and several of them beginning with A. And that might be because A is not the absolute best opening starting word, or starting letter on your starting word, or it's not as common to help you get going in the Wordle puzzles. And I wanted to say, because you may have noticed already, that even though I'm saying least is the top word, even though slate is actually ranked highest, I'm choosing least as the recommended best word if you're playing hard mode, because it fails or loses the game fewer times out of the 23 some odd hundred Wordle puzzles. So if you're playing hard mode, I'm recommending least. However, if you're playing easy mode, and the algorithm, the software simulation, never loses playing easy mode, but the number of turns to win goes down very, very slightly playing easy mode. But it always wins. It never fails the puzzle. So if you are playing easy mode, then this top word of slate would be the recommended starting word, or top starting word. And with 3.27 turns to win, an average of 74 remaining words after the first guess, and 2.5 remaining after the second guess. So those words hold up. So I'm going to finish by talking about one other word that I get asked about a lot. So you may have noted that this is a popular word, adieu, A-D-I-E-U, presumably because it's got a lot of vowels in it. So everyone always asks me, why isn't adieu in your other lists? And the reason is because it doesn't numerically, mathematically, show up as competing with these other words. So if we go back to the very first approach to arriving at starting words, where we applied the average number of words remaining after the first guess, adieu would actually be ranked 315th in that on that list. And I think I mentioned earlier that playing any of these top words, probably even into the top 500 words, is still going to get you started and give you a good chance to solve the Wordle puzzles games. But it is interesting to actually look mathematically at which words are really the best. So in that first ranking, it would have been 315th. And when I looked at the other rankings for that adieu word, we get 3.44 turns to win, which is definitely lower than our top words, doing more like 3.22 words turns to win, or 3.27. And the top word of the least that I recommend only failed one time playing hard mode for all 2,300 and some odd Wordle puzzles, solving Wordle puzzles, whereas adieu failed 8 times, so you would lose 8 times playing adieu. So that's why adieu doesn't appear anywhere in these lists, because it doesn't come in the top 10, the top 25, the top 50, the top 100. It's not a bad word. And playing a do as your opening word will probably still give you a good chance to solve the puzzle. According to my simulation, you'll solve the puzzle on average 3.44. You have the potential, I should say, to solve the puzzle an average of 3.44 within 3.44 turns, if you can play as good as the simulator plays. So it's not a terrible word, but it's not the best word. So everybody that thinks they have found a magic word with a do, mathematically you haven't. Again, it's a good word, but it's absolutely not the best word. And again, any of these words will give you a good chance of winning Wordle, the Wordle puzzle of the day, on most days. So it's not a terrible word, but it's fun to actually do the math and come up with which words are really the best. And so that's where all of this simulation and algorithm and math, that's what this journey was about, and how I arrived at my current list, based on eliminating words, based on turns to win, and even looking at the second words remaining after the second guess. Now, I do want to mention one other thing. Because when we did the first plus second word, second guess analysis, we brought in some new words that didn't appear anywhere before. So it's certainly possible that somewhere hiding in a vocabulary of several thousand 5-letter words is another word or some other words that could be top 25 words that I don't know, because, as I mentioned earlier, doing the first plus second math and simulations to get those numbers with the hardware that I have would take about 18 months of the computer running nonstop 24 hours a day. So I didn't do that, and I'm probably not going to do that. But there might be other words hiding somewhere in the several thousand, a vocabulary of several thousand 5-letter words that could do as well as these. But what I will guarantee, and as I noted several times I think already, is playing any of these words, I guarantee you, will give you a good chance to solve the Wordle puzzles. And as I noted, even playing words in anywhere within probably the top 100 or perhaps even top 500 are probably all going to do pretty well. A lot of it depends on where you go after that first guess, but I guarantee you all of these words will give you a good result. So even if there are words hiding in somewhere that we haven't discovered yet but could do better mathematically than these words, I don't expect it to be a very big difference. I mean, there's not a giant difference between, the best word here or the worst word here, or certainly even the top word and the top 50 words and the top word and even the top 100. It started to get a little bit more significant, but really it's not a huge mathematical difference. There's a difference. This word is better than that word perhaps, but it's not a big difference. And so even if we discovered another word somewhere in that set, it's not likely to make a gigantic difference, but it is still fun to look at some of the best words out there. And again, if you have a word, like I mentioned before, a lot of people kept saying I must have done something wrong because a do did not come up as one of the top 25 words or even top 100 words. But if you have a word that you think would be a good starting word and is not already one that I've done this analysis on, shoot me a comment. I'll check it. We can run this math. I can do it for one word. That doesn't take too long. That takes literally about an hour of CPU resources, so I can do that. But I can't do it for all the words, because again, that would take 18 months of CPU time, 24 hours a day. But if you have a word that you like and you're curious how it fits into this analysis and in how it ranks compared to these other words, shoot me a comment, and I'll run that analysis and let you know. So hopefully you found this relaxing and maybe interesting, and it was kind of fun to put together. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And get out there, have some fun with Wordle. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.